It's a pleasure to welcome all of you, including those watching on the internet, as we share our plans for renovations of the Nippert Stadium. I want to very first acknowledge Whit Babcock and his leadership. His first year on the job has demonstrated time and time again that we have one of the best athletic directors in the nation. We speak frequently about a commitment to compete at the highest levels, and this project that we're going to discuss today is a testimony to that. The Bearcat Nation is excited about our future and our vision for athletics, and I am grateful to our UC Board of Trustees for sharing this vision and this commitment. We want to make certain that our vision will be fiscally sound before construction begins, hopefully sooner rather than later. Additionally, no student fees or general operating dollars will be used in this renovation of Nippert Stadium. To me, UC really is the #hottest college in America, and one of the reasons for that is our historic Nippert Stadium. UC truly is a unique place with passion and energy. Our football stadium, nestled right here in the heart of our uptown campus, has been recognized even outside Cincinnati as one of the great stadiums in America. This project will be a positive one for the university as well as for the Department of Athletics. It will benefit more than just our football program. Nippert is part of our brand. It sits in the heart of our campus and is part of the UC student, our alumni, and our fan experience, and part of our history. It is so much part of Bearcat Nation in so many ways. This project adds to the amazing momentum and energy on our campus. As president of UC, I have the ultimate responsibility for all facets of the university. I see that athletics can serve as a tremendous portal for national visibility for UC as a whole and for this city of Cincinnati. It drives enrollment, building pride among our alumni and friends, introducing UC to those who may never have a chance to visit our campus otherwise. It is with great pleasure and great Bearcat pride that I turn this press conference now over to our athletic director, Whit Babcock, to elaborate further on this exciting process and project. Whit will address any questions at the end. I just want to say, now is the time, this is the place. Whit?
We've done a few press conferences lately, haven't we? Yeah, I'd like to welcome you as well as a group today. It's an exciting day, and thank you, Dr. Ono, for the kind remarks. And I did want to elaborate certainly further on our proposed plans for Nippert Stadium. And we're doing this press conference for a number of reasons, but one is, you know, there's been bits and pieces of this that have come out, and we just wanted to bring it all together and educate our media and our fan base on what our vision is moving forward. During my remarks, I'll cover a few things. I'll certainly talk about the project in general. We also have these renderings to share on our GoBearcats.com website shortly after this, and I believe we have a DVD or a CD to give to the media as well. But I'll talk in basic terms about the project. I'm an athletic director, so I like to talk about winning. I'll talk about why this project is a win for the Department of Athletics. I'll talk about why it's a win for the university, and then I'll touch briefly on the topic of Paul Brown Stadium and then answer any questions that you guys might have, all right? So first, some basic information regarding our proposed Nippert Stadium expansion. Actually, there's some people I need to thank. I won't do it in name, but Mike Thomas would be one of them. There were a lot of feasibility studies done, different looks at the stadium, a lot of things that I was fortunate to inherit when I came in. And it was everything from digging down to going out and everything in between. But I really chose to lock in after a lot of studies specifically on the west side and on premium seating. The project that you see before you today, the approximate cost on the project will be between 60 and 70 million. It will elevate our capacity, and contrary just a little bit to some published reports, the total capacity number that it will increase our capacity by has not yet been finalized. We have a little flexibility there as we get going. The West Pavilion, or whatever the name of this will be as we move forward, will be, just to give you an idea of scope, It'll be approximately 1 story taller than the current press box and approximately 2 to 2.5 times as long, and it will wrap in with nice symmetry on the west side, matching the east upper deck. It'll have 4 main levels to it, starting at the top and working down. The top level will be a camera deck up on the 4th floor. The 3rd floor will be for our press facilities, radio booth, coaches booths, all that entails, and then also some suites on that 3rd level. The 2nd level will be all suites, and then the 1st level moving down will be an extensive club level that will have outdoor seating to get the feel of the game, comfortable seating, but then an indoor club level to come back into, and then some loge box seating, which is a relatively new concept in premium seating. So it'll have 4 main levels. Again, it'll be at approximately a story taller and about 2.5 times the length of the current press box. All of our conceptual renderings and seat concepts were also based on a market feasibility study that I was fortunate to inherit when I got here. All of our expansion at this time will be in the form of premium seating, but this project will also include improving the fan experience on the concourse level. We all know it's really tight over on that west side, and this will entail opening up some concourses, improving our point of sale, traffic flows, restrooms, concessions, and just making Nippert a little more fan-friendly than it was when it was built in 1924, I believe. Here's an interesting fact for you. Since 1992, when our press box was completed, approximately 71 of the 76 BCS schools have made major renovations to their football stadium. When I say 76 BCS schools, that also includes all the incoming Big East schools in that. So a significant number of our peers have made major renovations since we last did the press box. In addition, there are many non-BCS or FCS, formerly 1AA schools, that have embarked on premium seating models. So the premium seating model works. There's not many schools that are out there that are simply adding bleacher seats in their expansion. And I'm sure if somebody digs hard enough, they'll find one. But to my knowledge, all the expansion that's occurring these days at least has a piece, if not all of it, in premium seating. We do not yet know a definitive timetable for the start of construction. That will depend primarily on our fundraising efforts. But once started, it would take approximately 12 to 18 months on the construction. And at least the way that we've been presented to do it is to build the new part beside the existing press box in 1 year. And then at the conclusion of that football season is to drop the existing press box and have it built back up the following year so that we would not necessarily ever have to leave Nippert Stadium or do without a press box there. We are not yet in a position, so for those to sell suites and club seats. So as much as I'd love to take people's order on that, including from some of our media members, y'all should pull together and get one for yourselves up there. But we're not yet in a position to sell suites or club seats or loge boxes, but we will have a portal to sign up to receive information on that in due time, again, primarily through our website, gobearcats.com. I will say this, though, people that are interested in receiving information on seating when this is built, that priority will be given to those people who give philanthropically to the project in the first place. Our first fundraising ask on this project will be for leadership gifts at the 6, 7, and 8-figure levels. People will be able to pledge those over a period of years, but we will also soon provide a portal or an avenue for gifts of any amount. There is strength in numbers, and we're going to need the help of the entire Bearcat family to invest in this. We need everyone. The next update we'll provide on progress, and I'm sure people will be curious along the way, but I'd really just like to set it out there maybe 3 or 4 months from now to give you another update, maybe around the spring football game. And it's not that I'm opposed to periodic updates, but I'd also like to turn all of our focus towards a heck of a men's basketball team, our women's basketball team, our winter sports, and the other duties of the department. So we'll have another update, if not before, as we get closer to the spring game on this. I should certainly mention that we're grateful for the support, buy-in, and partnership from Dr. Ono and our Board of Trustees. I'm thrilled with that. They have a commitment to excellence across the spectrum at UC, both athletically and academically. Yeah, this is usually where Dr. Ono says hashtag hottest college in America right here. So that's some basic information for you on the project, okay? But to get to the winning analogy, here's some reasons that we feel that this will be a win for our athletic department. And I want to be real clear on this point. this is an important one. The primary reason we are doing this project is to change our current financial model in the athletic department. The current financial model we have in our athletic department is both challenging and probably unsustainable. That is the key reason, is to change our financial model. Yes, we want to improve the fan experience, all that, but we really want to change the financial models. We want to compete at the highest levels. That's been said many times. But if we want to change where we are currently as a department or improve, we can't do what we've always done. Balancing our budget in this department has been a challenge in recent years. We're working hard at that. Our budget is one of the lowest out of all the BCS conference schools currently. That's actually a testament to our staff and our coaches for overachieving, but we're one of the lower ones right now. And our budget is one of the lowest out of all the BCS institutions for three primary reasons. One, we have a below-market television contract, and that's something that certainly has been well documented and talked about in the Big East, and that will work itself out in due time. But that television contract is not something that Dr. Ono and I have direct control over. But that's one reason. Another reason that our budget has had some challenges, and I want to make sure I elaborate on this too, because is some of the debt service remaining on our Varsity Village project. Okay, and the reason I say I want to elaborate on that is I've gotten to know Bob Goen very well, Bill Mulvihill, who was here at that time. That Varsity Village project was incredibly visionary. So I'm not here to critique it in any way. I enjoy their vision tremendously, but some of the debt left on that Varsity Village is still remaining, and that's something we pay for. So again, I commend them on their vision. I just talked to Bob Goen the other day, and he said, hey, Whit, if I'd been there a little longer, I would have got to Nippert and Fifth Third too. But that debt is a bit of a challenge for us that we need to overcome. And I do believe there's some creative ways that we can restructure that with the help of the university and get working on that. The third reason that our budget is lower compared to our BCS peers, quite frankly, is we don't generate enough revenue off of our football stadium. That part I do have some control over, and that's why you see before you today. We have the lowest number, or very close to it, of premium seating out of all the BCS schools. And again, this is our opportunity to change that financial model. This Nippert Stadium expansion project also provides some very attractive fundraising and recognition opportunities, whether it's naming the new facility, different floors within the facility, some of the spaces within there. But I do need to be very clear on this too. The stadium will always be Nippert Stadium. Anything that's been written contrary to that is absolutely false. Now, we may have some opportunities on the field and again with the facility and other things, but it is Nippert Stadium first and foremost, and it'll stay that way. This new project will also provide some very nice corporate partner and sponsorship inventories. On one of the renderings, you'll see new ribbon boards, new things that we can engage corporate sponsorships, and that will also help us change our revenue model. As I touched on earlier, another exciting piece of it is the fan experience, opening up the concourses, again, the concessions, the restrooms, the point of sales, the merchandising, some other opportunities there. The resulting new or improved financial model and revenue streams that I've just mentioned would enable some other things to benefit in our department, or other areas to benefit in our department other than football. It would enable us to potentially reinstate some scholarship opportunities that were taken away from some of our Olympic sports in previous years. The thought on this project is a rising tide raises all boats. I'd also like to, among other things, in no particular order, I'd like to clean up the Armory a bit. We'd like to work on that. I'd like to make some improvements to Fifth Third Arena. I'd like to make some improvements to our technology and graphics, the way our teams travel, our team training table and dining facilities, and increase staffing and more. So again, this is to change our financial model and elevate all of our programs across the board. A new financial model would also help us hire and retain quality coaches across the board in all of our sports. I should stop to note that none of this project was put in as any demand in any way, shape, or form with our previous football coach or our current one. Did I mention it to both of them? Absolutely, I did. But it was never a demand, and this is not coming forth because of any negotiations with any coach. We've had this on our mind for quite some time. I also want to say about the project, there is relatively, if you can call 60 to 70 million relatively low financial risk investment with positive return on investment with this project. What I mean by that is this. On the modeling that we're running on our pricing right now, which I'm not ready to get into suite pricing and club seat pricing, see if I can put this in a way that makes sense. If we operate, we plan on selling the whole thing out, but if we operate on basically a 75% occupancy rate over a period of years, just the revenue from the suites and the club seats could help us pay for the facility. All right? Now, if we're going to do a facility like this and invest that kind of money, though, and we're going to change the financial model of the department, we've got to do a heck of a lot better than breaking even. That's why we're going to start with an aggressive fundraising campaign, and the more we can raise on the front end is the more profit or revenue above and beyond the cost of our house payment, so to speak, on this facility. That's why we're going to get started on that. I do not yet today have a magic number that we've got to hit for the wrecking ball to get going over there, but we will continue our financial modeling. But we will not necessarily, I hope we do, we will not necessarily have to knock out all $65 million in fundraising, but the more we can do on fundraising gives us more return on our investment on the seat revenue. And again, if we're going to embark on something like this, and I'm going to take it to Dr. Ono, it's darn sure going to be fiscally sound before we start. Nippert is also our brand. Since 1904, I saw a drawing or something the other day from another stadium was built in the 20s. In 1904, when they were planning McMicken Hall and all the areas around it, that's when they first identified the site of Nippert Stadium. Nippert is part of our fabric. It's part of our brand. It separates us. It makes us unique. It's our edge. There is nowhere like it in the country, and there is no better home field advantage than Nippert Stadium. It's also an integral part of our overall college experience for our student body. Last year, after we played games at Paul Brown Stadium, we conducted fan and student surveys about both facilities, and they came back overwhelmingly in support of Nippert Stadium. Now, they did point out some things about the concourses and the lack of premium seating, which we're obviously addressing here, but our fans had spoken loud and clear. Our student athletes and our coaches also prefer to play at Nippert. Now, that was not a survey. That was simply me walking around and talking to all the players last year and getting their feedback, and they love playing here on their campus in front of their fans. Another key part of the project that's a win for the athletic department is it would facilitate a lot more corporate engagement with us, right? When you have suites and club seats, all of a sudden now we have entertainment options. We have 9 Fortune 500 companies. We have a very diverse corporate community, and a key piece of this will be drawing in those partners not only to our athletic department, but to campus. And lastly, as far as a win on the athletic department side, this project exemplifies and reinforces our commitment to compete at the highest levels. Now, moving on, why Nippert Stadium project would be a win for the university? And Dr. Ono touched on some of these. There'll be no university general operating funds used for this. This facility will solely be built from revenues that we generate within the athletic department. It will also provide another signature architectural structure in the heart of our campus, which has been ranked by numerous publications for its beauty. It will provide, this project, the Nippert expansion, an opportunity for shared space, collaboration, event hosting, faculty, staff, students, alumni, perhaps even some dining facilities on non-game days in a dynamic environment. It is literally tied in to a connection with campus. If you notice on some of the drawings, there will be skywalks that come right out of TUC, at least this is our concept today, where you come in across McMicken Commons, right through TUC, through some dynamic skywalks right into the back of the press box. That'll also alleviate congestion down on the concourse level. But you know, if we build it at UC, it is not going to be a rectangular, boring building. It is going to be really sharp, all right? The project will also allow us as an athletic department to enhance the visibility and serve as the front porch for the university. And that's a role we take very seriously. I'm well aware that UC is much bigger than the athletic department. We just like being a key part of higher education and serving as that front porch. And anything that we can do to add to the positive momentum and buzz on this campus right now, we're thrilled to do. As a side note, just this past season for the Pitt game, the Louisville game, and the Virginia Tech game, over 5 million households viewed our athletic contest. Now, I don't know how many people were sitting in each of those households, but you can do the math. And that's just for 3 games, and the visibility that we're talking about and the commercial value or PR value that we can add to campus, we want to keep achieving at a very high level. The corporate engagement I mentioned on the suite aspect is also good for campus. I touched on that. This project will also give us the potential, which I'm thrilled with this. We keep selling out our student section. Hopefully it'll give us the ability to expand that as well. I think that's a positive for campus. And then the timing of this project I feel like is a positive for campus. We're coming down to near the closure of the Proudly Cincinnati $1 billion campaign. Hopefully we can fit this project in a window of a couple years and get it done before the university embarks on its next capital campaign. This project also, as far as a win for the university, will provide some nice entertainment options, hopefully some of our academic areas as well as the foundation will entertain in suites and club seats and all that. So I do think the fundraising piece for the academic areas can be achieved there as well. So that covers a few reasons why I think this is a win for the university. Moving on, I wanted to touch briefly on the Paul Brown Stadium aspect because that's a question that I get asked a lot, and I'm certainly not anti-Paul Brown, but I'm pro-Nippert. But here's what I do like. I do like the opportunity, or we like the opportunity, to play an occasional game down at Paul Brown Stadium. The Oklahoma game, the Ohio State game years ago, the occasional game down there, or this accordion stadium concept, I really like that, right? We can play in Nippert, but then on the occasional game where we really need to go big, we can accordion out our stadium and play down there if we need to. But I also want to emphasize this when it comes to Paul Brown, and it's a beautiful facility. We've got to do what's in the best interest of UC. That's what I'm paid to do, the president is, and that's what this project is about. So a renovated Nippert Stadium plus an occasional game at Paul Brown Stadium is a wonderful option, and that's where we're positioned today. However, moving all of our, for those, before you ask the question, moving all of our home games down to PBS does nothing to improve our financial model. In fact, in some ways, it's a challenge. A half-full stadium is never a positive. Sold-out stadiums are. If we were to move all of our games down to Paul Brown Stadium, we wouldn't control all of the ticket revenue down there. We wouldn't control all of the concessions. We wouldn't control all of the parking. We wouldn't control the suites. We wouldn't control all of the sponsorship inventory down there that's available to us. We also would not have any fundraising opportunity down there, recognition opportunities, et cetera. And just to give you an example, and I really commend the previous administration here for trying it, I would have done the same thing. Not this season, but the previous season before, we moved, or UC moved the West Virginia and Louisville game down there, and I believe our attendance was 48,000 in one and 42,000 in the other. We actually lost money on those two games, six-figure dollars on those two games down there, compared to if we had sold out Nippert. And that's no offense directed at the Bengals. They've got a business to run too. It's just all of the things I mentioned. When you don't, it's a lot broader than just the number of people you put in the seats, how you generate revenue, and how you get the return on your investment. So again, the occasional game down there, yes, but I think I've driven that point home that I'm pretty pro Nippert, and that's what we're about. In addition, if we were to move our games to Paul Brown, keep in mind that would involve moving approximately 200 visitors a year that come to Nippert off of our campus and downtown. And downtown and the banks are great, but out of those 200,000 visitors a year that come to our home football games, there's a lot of kids in those stands that see UC for the first time, that come to school here, on and on and on and on. I'm much more interested in keeping those 200,000 visitors on our campus and, quite frankly, with the economic development of the Uptown District. I'm also not interested in moving our tradition and our homecoming and our student experience downtown at this time. And then furthermore, it would lose our brand. Again, I've touched on it. Nippert is our fabric. It's what brings us together as Bearcats. So for those reasons, we believe in the model of a renovated Nippert in a financially responsible manner. We believe in adding premium seating and improving the fan experience on game day at the concourse level. We believe in changing our financial model for the better, for the improvement of all of our sports and programs. And we feel that is in the best interest of UC and is a solid plan. In closing, in my opening press conference, I guess about 14 months ago, I touched on three things that would be our core values or guiding principles. We talked about one was a commitment to comprehensive excellence. This project accomplishes that. Two, we talked about a focus or an enhancement of the student-athlete experience, and this project will do that in more than just football. Three, we talked about it's our obligation to engage the community. This project will do that and will engage the community on our campus. So we are excited to unveil these renderings, give you all a glimpse into our future and our vision, and to embark on our fundraising campaign. As Coach Tuberville, or as President Ono mentioned, and I mentioned during Coach Tuberville's press conference, it applies in this case too. Now is the time, and this is the place. Thank you for your time today, and I'll entertain any questions you may have.
Start right here with Cliff. Everybody remember, we'll bring the microphone around too.
Whit, do you have any gifts in hand at this point, and do you see any possibility of starting construction before next football season?
Sure, or sure to answer your question. We have some commitments, and we had a small meeting with a key group of constituents and mentioned to them about the project and that we would be coming to ask them. So I'd rather not get into dollars today, but I do not see this happening in time for the 2013 season. And again, I really don't want to put a time frame on it. We all want it to be built as soon as possible, but it's not going to happen without the help of our Bearcat family. And we feel like we have some people that will step up at high levels, but we also need the help of everybody across the board. And again, I hope people will stay locked into gobearcats.com and find out how to do that.
Anything else, Cliff?
Which you talked a lot about changing the financial model and improving the brand and whatever. Is any element of this showing a commitment to other potential conferences that you see would be a fit in a bigger and better football conference?
What we can, I'll just say this, it'll put us in a leadership position within our conference, and any time we can put UC in a favorable light and achieve to be the best, we want to do that.
Jim, you got
You didn't want to mention the possible attendance possibilities here, but what would be a target that you would like to, when you're all finished with all the renovations, is there a target that you would like to have, like maybe 40,000 or something?
That's a nice round number that we certainly like, but a lot of it will depend on what will fit in the footprint, and then when we do get into our sales and all that. So it's just a little early for me to say that, and I know you have to ask the question. I like a nice round number as high as we can get it. It's just too early to tell. But we want to build it in a classy way into a footprint that fits. There is no way, to my knowledge, that we can get to 50 or 60, and quite frankly, I don't know that we have the infrastructure to handle that. We have talked on down the road that if we were to add any bleacher seating, there is some opportunity to do that down in the southeast corner, if I'm getting my directions right. But right now, we don't have any plans to add bleacher seating.
One other question, it's been talked about many times, that Nippert cannot be lowered, the field cannot be lowered, and those first 5 rows tend to be obstructed view seating, so this does not affect or change that, those seats are going to remain the same then?
We can't go down. There's a lot of stuff under that stadium that's been there for a long time, from utilities and everything else, and we've actually had some people get up under there. It's pretty scary. You don't want to go down there. But we looked at everything. We looked at that. We looked at opening up portals back into the lower level and developing club space. We looked at all sides of the stadium. We looked at turning the field. I mean, the work that these guys did here before I got here, it was nice to see every option and then just try to lock in on the one that I felt like, or we felt like, was best for us as a department and financially as well.
I know selling out the stadiums has kind of been an issue this year and in past years. Do you think this is a step in the right direction, or what do you think needs to be done to hopefully get those games sold out?
Yeah, you know, I think we are making progress there. I believe our stadium this year capacity, I believe we got to about 83% of our bleacher seating. And you know what, I'm glad you asked that question, because vision is talking about where we want to be on down the road, so we don't have to have them all sold out just yet. But my vision is for every one of them to be sold out. And again, with this new added inventory, we feel like we can really make a big hit there. But if we put a good product on the field and keep doing what we're doing, I'm convinced we can get there to where every game is sold out. So we're relatively, even though we've been playing football for 125 years, I believe, and somebody will correct me on this one, I believe we've only been to 14 or 15 bowl games. So we're relatively, even though we played football a long time, football on this campus is relatively new success in the last decade. But again, we're going to set our sights on where we're going in the future, and that is our goal. And I believe we came very close to selling out 3 of our 6 this year and had some great crowds at some others. So we're going in the right direction, but thanks for asking that question.
Whit, you've said yourself that conference realignment is still going to continue to happen. With that in mind, what kind of challenges does that present to raising that $60 to $70 million?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I know what I can control and what we can control. And again, we're just going to work on that. I know you keep coming at me with that question. Really, I do think your pricing model might change a little bit depending on your schedule. I will say that. But again, guys, there are premium seating options at nearly every BCS school, not to mention non-BCS schools. Shoot, where I grew up, even James Madison University, a 1AA or FCS program, just put up a $40-some million expansion with suites and club seats. So the model works, and all we're going to do is try to elevate our program across the board every day, and that's all we can control right now.
Anybody else?
So did you say that you can sell 75% of the premium seats, and with no private dollars at that point, then you can pay for the construction?
That is on our basic models, Cliff. Yes,
Okay.
I did say that.
Okay.
I'm not telling you what the pricing is yet, but we base that on feasibility studies and market studies. And yes, projected out over a period of years, that's right. If we were to sell 75% of it, our goal would be 100. Over the projection of a period of years, yes, we could pay for the cost of the facility and break even, but I cannot run the risk of running that razor thin. And if we're going to elevate all things across the board, I'd at least like to clear a few $1 million a year from it.
And what's your goal? I mean, do you hope to get half of it from private donations?
Yeah, I'd rather not get into that yet. As our commitments come in, I think we'll continue to run modeling. And again, we want to be aggressive, but there's a fine line between cutting edge and bleeding edge. So we will, you know, we're going to be aggressive, but we're going to be financially responsible too. So I just don't want to be, just yet, we don't want to be boxed in on a magic number that we have to hit. But every dollar we raise will get us closer to being able to start.
Anybody else? Ryan, you want to tell everybody how images and video are being distributed?
We'll distribute that through our email list. If you're not on the email list, come see me and I'll put you on it. We're going to distribute all the images and video probably through Dropbox. We'll give you an email link. You're able to click on it and download from there.
And everything's on gobearcats.com. Yes, sir. Thanks, everybody.
Just one final question. It's not about conferences. Do you
Thanks.
have a ballpark figure on how many suites you hope to have?
I'll just say this. Why don't we go with approximately 30 is what is in our initial modeling, but there's a lot more you can do club seat-wise, loge box-wise. And again, once we get into the sale part of it, one good thing about doing that before construction is you can adjust, right? If you have more market-driven for club seats, you could make that bigger. So I'm not trying to dodge your question. It's just it could flow. It's more like what's the space do we have and how can we take advantage of it? So I'm sorry, it's just a little bit early on that.
Anybody else?
Hi, Tom.
Well, I just got one question. People look at this and they say, okay, this is for the corporate guys and the big money guys. But you're also doing this for the common fan
Right.
with the whole experience of the stadium, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think the prices will be so exorbitant that, you know, only the wealthy will be able to do it. But if we can provide that, generate revenue from that aspect, but also make it a more comfortable environment and the concourses and the traffic flow, concessions, et cetera, for, as you phrased, the common fan. But the common fan is what got us where we are today. We're not going to forget them. But that student section this year and how far that's come along from the days when you were in school, and a lot of other people in the room, that excites me and shows me potential. And those are our fans of the future. And if we can get that routine of those guys and ladies coming to games, graduating, coming back, then we're building a program.
All right, thanks, everybody.